right, we're getting there, guys. Our next presenter is renowned for his work on kid-friendly books with such titles as Patrick the Wolf Boy, Itty Bitty Hellboy, Tiny Titans, I knew I was going to do that, and DC Super Pets. Everybody please give a big "Aw, yeah" for Art Baltazar.
Oh, yeah, man. Thanks, man. My name's Art Baltazar. I'm a famous cartoonist. And I don't remember when I met Gene Ha. I have no idea. I've been doing comics for like almost 30 years, and he's always been there. He's everywhere I go, Gene Ha's there. And when Randy sent me an email about 2 weeks ago saying, "Hey, would you like to give an award to Gene Ha?" I'm like, "Yeah, hell yeah." So I said, "I know Gene Ha forever." So I was so happy. And I came up to dinner. My kids were eating, my 18-year-old, 15-year-old, my wife. We're all sitting there. And they're like, "What was that? Why are you so happy?" I said, "Okay, I'm going to Ringo Awards. It's the first time I'm going to Baltimore in like 10 years. And I'm up for a nomination, but I also get to give an award for a friend of mine." And they're like, "Oh, cool. Who is he?" I said, "It's Gene Ha." And they said, "What has he done?" I'm like, "I don't know." I said, "But I known the guy forever. He has of course he works for Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, IDW. He probably worked for everybody. But I had no idea what he does." And my daughter says, "Daddy, how can you know your friend who's an artist like you and you don't know what he does?" And I'm like, "I never asked them." And I'm like, "The only way I know Gene Ha is every time I sign a kid's sketchbook, they find a blank page and I see one of Gene Ha's drawings." And it was the first time I ever saw someone draw with gray markers. I'm like, "What are those markers? Those are cool." And I found out they're Copic markers, and I'm like, "Oh, I want to do that." And then I found out they're too expensive, so now I'll stick with my Sharpie and crayon. And then my kids are like, "Well, you got to find out." So I went and I was about to Google, and I'm like, "No, I don't want to ruin what I have. I don't want to ruin it. I don't need to know Gene Ha is awesome. I already know he's awesome. I look at these sketchbook and he draws people, he draws superheroes, he draws awesome Harlequin. I see it all the time." And I know that he did a book called May. That's the first time I ever saw his work, actually, in a comic. He had a Kickstarter, it kicked ass, it did all kinds of awards, or I don't know what it did, but it broke records. He got funded. And then the book went to Dark Horse, and they published it, and I'm just going to fudge. It made New York Times bestseller. I don't know if it did. So I know he's amazing. But I went to Florida, Gene Ha was there. I went to Wisconsin, Gene Ha was there. I went to New York Comic-Con, Gene Ha was there. I don't remember when I met him, but he's always been around. He signed at our Skokie store. We have 3 stores. One in Muncie, Indiana, New York. We got one in New York and one in Chicago. And he signed his book. We probably had it for May. I don't know. We just have artists there. I show up and like, "Who's the guy we got?" And they're like, "Oh, I know that guy. Cool." And so he stayed for our after party. We had a party. We had, can we say drinks? We had alcoholic adult beverages. There's no kids there. I'm a kid's artist. I get weird about that. And we did a video. We're dancing. We're having a good time. He was at our introduction to our store for the C2E2 bash, where people are still mad at me and Franco for doing that party. He was there. And Gene Ha is awesome. And I know he's doing I'm going to tell you, I'm going to spoil right now. He's doing a secret Wonder Woman comic book for DC they didn't even announce yet. Whoa. I'm breaking it. Exclusive. He told me I could say it. So it's not my fault. But not only that, okay? Gene Ha is a big, super, crazy supporter for schools, for libraries, for kids. He donates his time to kids learning how to do comics, to kids writing for comics, to kids learning the comic book form. I know that he does all of these libraries and stuff because about once a month I get an email from Gene Ha saying, "Hey man, this library could really use your cartooning sense. I draw superheroes, but you draw the kid stuff." And I always say, "Damn it, I can't make it. Damn it, I can't make it." It's either I got deadlines or, that C word, the one that starts with an O, not, forget. I'm not going to say it. I'll get me too. But he sends me every time he's at a school, he emails me. So I'm going to go to one in December because of Gene Ha, and it's going to be in Arlington Heights, Illinois. But Gene Ha is awesome. He does all these things for kids, for schools, for libraries, for literature, for reading, for kids, learning things, even if it's just a comic book they're reading. Gene Ha's your guy. And I have to say things. I had it right. My whole speech is these 2 lines. Right. The Heroes Initiative sponsored, and their phrase is helping comics change one day at a time. And I want to present my friend Gene Ha for the Dick Giordano Humanitarian Award for everything he did. Gene Ha.
Okay, let me just mention a few things in context of some things that have been said tonight. We met at SuperCon. I thought you were a charming young kid, and I hoped you made it in the industry, so I'm glad you survived.
Right. You told me never to call you sir. I remember that. You said, you're a good man, sir. And you said, stop calling me sir.
And yeah, you said, yeah, I will stop, sir.
Yeah, stop, sir. I'll stop, sir.
I met Mike Ringo, but I never really got a chance to have a good conversation with him because I made the really dumb assumption. Sooner or later, I'm just going to we're going to end up at some dinner table or something like that. I'm going to have a great conversation with him. I'm a huge fan of his work. And as other people noted, he had like the most dynamism possible inside of artwork. And I was so looking forward to meeting him someday, and it didn't happen. I was brought into the industry by the only submissions editor I've ever heard of at worked at Marvel or DC who enjoyed the job, Neil Posner. And I looked forward to meeting him someday. And then he died before I could meet him. Should I also mention Jack Kirby also? Like I was 2 years into the industry, I was thinking someday I'm going to meet Jack Kirby now. And so there's a list of people I really wanted to meet who I didn't get a chance to. So to literally everyone in this room, thank you for still being alive, even through the pandemic. I am grateful for all of your lives, all of you being here. I want to specifically mention, I had this, after my first projects at DC, I had an editor who was my drill sergeant, who drilled it into my head, drop and give me 20, that wasn't good, drop and give me another 20, of don't let the flash subvert the story. The story comes first, make that work. And after that, the micro-Ringo genius flash stuff, the pizzazz, the jazz, that comes after you've made sure that the story's told right. That editor's name was Jim Owsley, which took me over 10 years to find out is the same guy as Christopher Priest. So thank you, Mr. Drill Sergeant, Mr. Owsley. Let me see. Oh man, just this is literally humbling because when I started off in the industry, it was at the end of I was at the end of a huge speculation boom. Sales were gigantic. 1 million copies of X-Men #1 sold, and it was usually 20 people buying a single their own copies and then putting them in bags. And every year I worked in the industry for years after that, the comics industry in the United States got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. I felt like I was climbing a mountain that was shrinking faster than I could climb it. And as you know, for the last about 12, 15 years, sales have actually been going up again. And in part that's because of people like Mr. Owsley/Priest, who drilled into the heads of those of us who wanted to do good storytelling to make the storytelling work, but also because of all you damn young bastards just bringing out brilliant new stories that are things that a lot of us back then in the early 90s debated and often believed could not work. Just the idea of webcomics being like this huge, giant, surging thing is just like so inspiring. So thank you, all of you, again, brilliant young bastards, for bringing me along for this ride and saving the industry so I can still have a job. I really, really appreciate it. I also want to bring up another group who are really important and who made a huge difference. Librarians. Now, there's a few, there's no better profession out there for getting kids into comics who haven't started reading comics yet, because they're free, the parents are distracted, and then there's just, I forgot the name of the teacher who came up here earlier. As you know, the kids who don't like reading can be tricked into reading literature if it's in the form of a comic book.
Yes.
Yeah, and early in my years in comics, I was living in Bloomington, Indiana, and I love Bloomington, Indiana. One of the best things is that I had both a great public library there, and I also had a really, really great university library system there at Indiana University. And I was doing a huge amount of, I was a horrible patron. I left Post-it notes in when I returned the books and stuff like that. And when I returned, one summer when I was there was this really cute girl behind the checkout counter checking the books back in. And I spent all summer thinking, oh God, she is so cute, but I know she probably gets everyone hitting on her. And make it really awkward if I'm like, keep on coming back to return books. And she has to say no, and then when she spends the rest of the summer or the rest of her however many years in her college career having me come up to her and like giving her that awkward look. But then I didn't see her for a month. And then I saw her again. I thought, okay, she might be graduating, or I don't know, she might be like a professional librarian. She might be leaving. I might never see her again. And so I finally asked her for her number, and she gave it to me, and that's my wife, Lisa Sharkey. And comics were not a big thing inside of libraries at the time. It wouldn't be for a while, and Lisa helped bring me into the world of comics, my world of comics into the world of libraries, help me understand how to bridge the two. So I'm not going to be able to name enough of them, because there's so many librarians out there who have worked so hard to make it as normal to have comic books inside of libraries. It was not a normal thing back in the 90s, even in the early 2000s. It was kind of a battle. I'd like to thank some people at comic companies like DC and Dark Horse. I do not know the full history of this, but I do know two names of Rich Johnson with no T at DC Comics, and I asked Rich Johnson about this, and he said that I also need to mention, Michael Martins at Dark Horse. Yeah, and others I do not know, for fighting to help, going to ALA meetings even when most librarians didn't think those comics believed inside of libraries, and they kept going. I'd also like to thank librarians like Robin Brenner, Eva Volin, and Mike Pawak, who in 2003, back again when it was not acceptable to so many librarians, especially the ones in senior positions, to put comics in front of kids in a library, served on the American Library Association's graphic novel task force, and of course argued that comic books are books. I'm going to single out one person who's at this convention. I don't think he's in this room, but maybe he is. The person who put out a comic book that in 2007 won the ALA's Youth Media Award for the first time for a comic book, Jean Luen Yang's American-Born Chinese. If you're in the room, that's great. If he's not in the room, somebody tell him afterwards that I am grateful to him personally. And I'd also like to thank, she's one of a group, but specifically librarian Tina Coleman of the American Library Association, who has fought for over about 20 years to help bring comics into libraries and help organize the Graphic Novels and Comics Roundtable to establish comics in library collections. Again, in the 90s, I was around 2000, I was thinking this industry is doomed and I don't know what I'm going to do afterwards. So again, I am so, so grateful to all of you guys out there and online who saved my job. Also Joe Quesada thank you for saving Marvel. When he mentioned they were in chapter 11, they were very close to the edge before things turned around there. I once went up at a convention snuck up to the speaker. This is before, around a little bit after the bankruptcy was announced, and said, "Okay, we're going to start bidding on Marvel. We're starting at $1. $1. Who has two?" And the con organizer was so mad at me. But again, thank you all, for everyone out there, and all of your friends out there, if you let them know. I am so grateful to all of them for saving my job. I'm just going to end this with one more thing as a reference to John Gallagher and Jamar. Thanks for the memories.